Okay, thanks so much for tuning in today. Today we're going to be talking about something that I truly believe is very powerful and something that we have, personally incorporated into our daily health regimen. And this is the has the potential of saving lives. So pay attention, take notes, and if you have questions, let me know. I'll try to answer those as quickly as possible. If you are seeing us live on Facebook, tell me hi. Let me know that you're watching live. If you are watching the replay on Facebook, type below and let me know that it's a replay that you're watching. So today we're going to be talking about medicinal mushrooms, and we're going to be talking about legal medicinal mushrooms. And we'll also be talking about one that's illegal at the moment, but we will be talking about the power of it. So I wanted to tell you that each and every one of you that are listening today is absolutely in charge of your own health. And the great thing about that is that it is very empowering. That's a very empowering statement. You are in charge of your health. And if you can be in control of your health, then you can change your existing reality and also your future. So that's very, very encouraging, I would say. Our future is determined on healthy decisions, and healthy people make healthy decisions. Sick people make sick decisions, not on purpose, but they do. So part of making people to make healthier decisions is to get them healthier in the first place, right? So reishi is a mushroom that has been used for thousands of years, and in China, it's revered as a treasure. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. It's something that was once only reserved for royalty. So when you consume your reishi, think of yourself as royalty because it was only reserved for them. Here is a little disclaimer. I am not here to treat or diagnose your disease or illnesses, but simply to provide you information that could possibly support and improve your body. For those that know my husband and myself, we have started studying mushrooms in the last year, and every day that we come up with more information, it just blows our mind the more that we come across. Oops, let's see. Technology. All right. For those of you that don't know me, I am Tiffany Roberts, and my husband, Gabe Roberts, and I are owners of a functional medicine clinic where we teach others to improve their lifestyle, thus improving their health. My husband is traditionally trained as a chiropractor, but all of his life, he's been searching for more ways to help people of the world. Together, we both have gone through an extensive program for certification of functional medicine practitioner. I have searched and studied alternative health since I was 16 years old, and I was seeking out answers for my own health issues. And as a result, I have a master's in nutrition, and I'm currently working on my doctorate degree in two areas, one for health professions education and one for a doctor of natural medicine. Together, my husband and I continue to search for answers for our clients' health and provide coaching for better lifestyles for those clients. Our medical system is great in emergency care, but there's nothing in place to help the person become healthier. There is no body part that I could remove to make it healthier. There's no medicine that they can give you to make you healthier. It may remove your symptom, but there's nothing there to make you healthier. All pharmaceuticals do is emulate nature. And the reason that they create drugs is because they cannot patent nature. We're not allowed to. If the pharmaceuticals were allowed to patent plants and funguses, that's exactly what they would be doing because it actually works. Drugs destroy lives, and they can help you in acute situations, but they can't make you healthier. Nature actually heals the same way that we do. It has detoxification system, has a respiratory system, a magnetic field, just like each and every one of us. It's got a nervous system that wraps around the entire planet, and we'll talk about that here in a little bit. We are our own little universe inside of us, and you are amazing. You know, there are 100 trillion cells in your body. There is, something keeping us all this little magic things working inside us, right? It's not by coincidence. So if your body abides by the same rules that nature does, I don't think I have to look inside for the answer. I can actually look outside in nature and find the answer, because it's the same thing happening, inside that is actually happening outside. When you start to study nature, as we have and we're obsessed with, many of our mentors have, you start to see a pattern. So understand how your brain works. It works in patterns. It works with association. So when you remember something, there is usually an associated memory with that. That's why stories are really, important to share with others, because stories help our brain wire a little differently. So one of nature's stories that it shares with us is that it has mushrooms, okay? And the only way that we can get the right answer in life is that if we ask the right questions. And the answers are always available for us. But if we ask a question and we don't pay attention, then we miss the answer that it's providing. So here, have you ever heard of the Tokyo Slime Mold Project? In Tokyo, they needed to solve a problem with their railing system. So the scientists what they did was they placed little oats. You can see in those little white dots are oats, where cities would be on the map and around Tokyo. So they put this slime mold on the sheet, and the slime mold searched and covered the entire area looking for these oats. And then it went back into its original space. The scientists placed the oats in the same areas as before, and the slime mold actually made specific networks to the oats. This actually solved their railing system problem within a day, saving them millions of dollars. So guess what? If it has that intelligence to solve these type of problems, then it might have intelligence to solve other problems, right? So what are mushrooms? Let's talk about that for a little bit. Mushrooms belong to the fungal kingdom, and if you look at the different kingdoms in which we all come from in biology, but there's all different kinds of kingdoms. These actually belong to the fungal kingdom. What is fascinating is the root kingdom that they are from is Basilocanthus. And this actually goes it splits into the Animalia and the fungi. So what that means is that we actually came from mushrooms, because it's, right at the top, and then the Animaliae and the fungus. So all animals that you see actually come from a lineage through the mushroom kingdom. Mushrooms share 50% of our DNA. So they harbor this intelligent life in them, right? And they're actually more animal than plants. We think of them as a plant, but they have their own kingdom. They actually are more human than they are plant. There's thousands of different kinds. Some mushrooms are poisonous, and some, they grow in the right conditions when there's the right moisture, the right sunlight, temperature, oxygen, all that great stuff. The picture here is actually turkey tail, and as you can see, it's taken over this dying tree stump, right? Why is it doing that? Well, it's transforming this tree stump into medicine. It's transforming it into its higher purpose. And if a human consumes it, then, it becomes part of our human cells. So if you see how it works, it's a way of, way up the life chain. And guess what? That doesn't destroy like chemotherapy destroys everything. So for instance, if I wanted to get rid of this tree stump, I'd maybe burn down the entire forest just to get this one tree stump gone, right? Light the entire forest on fire just to get rid of this one tree stump. Nature would never do that. What nature does is that it puts mycelia into this tree, and when the conditions are right, when you have the right sunlight, the right moisture, the right oxygen, mushrooms turn this tree into medicine. I mean, that's pretty amazing, right? So they turn hydrocarbons into carbohydrates. They're transformers. They are able to create chemical reactions into better things. That's why we can turn a tree into medicine. Hydrocarbons are dying matter, right? So it's oil. It's a concentration of death, dinosaur bones and plant matter and all that great stuff, right? That's what oil is. But what happens when oil spills on an ocean, this creates a huge problem. You could literally plant mushroom spores on the oil spill, and they would actually turn that oil into mushrooms. They transform things. They detoxify things. So imagine what it can actually do for your body. Mushrooms can be used for both food and medicine, and they're very highly eco-friendly. Some mushrooms have hallucinogenic properties such as psilocybin. Psilocybin. It's actually getting rid of brain disorders in a single use. Can you imagine? You can use this for therapeutic uses and interventions such as, post-traumas and PTSD and depression and anxiety. These are amazing tools that we have right in our hand. You might be wondering why this is suppressed. Well, it's suppressed because it actually raises your consciousness. We can't have too many, people operating at the highest state of human consciousness now, can we? That would not bode well with all the powers that be. We're supposed to be drones and zombies and worker bees and ants that go to work every day. So this is important for you guys to recognize that some of this technology is suppressed from you, and it's ridiculous. It's ridiculed. It's spoken negatively on mainstream media because it's called a programming for a reason. Tune in for your television programming. They're programming you. They don't want you to think a certain way to elevate your consciousness, okay? Look into the stone ape theory. When you consume mushrooms, you actually elevate your consciousness. There is a whole other layer of consciousness in your brain that most people will never find. And it's really sad. And in some states, psilocybin mushroom will actually become legal soon. And I think Oregon will actually be the first one to legalize it. I'm not sure. We'll see. So are they from outer space? Well, it's a mystery. Mushrooms actually take rocks and turn it into soil. It pulls the minerals from the outside of the rock and actually crumbles them and turns them into soil. Without mushrooms, we wouldn't have plants. And we do not, if we do not have mushrooms, then we, wouldn't have anything to eat. They can actually endure a significant amount of radiation and actually protect you from that as well. And if they can really help in a really bad situation, think about how they can really help in a medium situation or even a small situation. Prototaxites. These are hundreds of millions of years ago. Mushrooms actually ruled the earth. They existed when mushrooms were the actual tallest plant on the planet. If you can go back millions of years, mushrooms were there because there was actually more oxygen on the planet, and mushrooms actually grew 40 feet high, and they actually have found skeletal remains that actually show this. So this is what it would actually look like back in those days. How cool would it be to have these giant mushrooms? These guys are actually transforming that barren land into something even better, an actual oasis. So let's talk about the anatomy a little bit of a mushroom, and you'll see a correlation here, hopefully. Mushrooms start with a female and male spore to actually work, just like, in nature. It actually has a germination cycle, and this is mycelial expansion that actually takes place. So just imagine like a baby. The fetus starts expanding, but it stays contained. Mushrooms don't. So they're a little opposite in that regard. They are similar, the fetus starts expanding, is contained. Mushrooms actually want to spread. They are similar to humans, but in some regard they are different. Their job, like I said, is to spread. They want to cover as much land as possible. They create this web-like expansion going in every direction. This is called the mycelium network. Okay, the mycelium is actually under your feet in the ground. So when you go into a forest, have you ever felt like the trees or the plants are watching you? They actually know that you're there because the mycelium underneath your feet is a network for the forest. Once you take a step, the mycelium is actually sending information to all the trees and all the plants that you are actually coming. So you can't sneak up on a tree. They know you're there. It's how the forest actually shares their resources. It's how it communicates, and it's how the nutrients are dispersed amongst all of the forest. We are taught in our programming that nature is actually cutthroat, that it's very competitive. The trees choke out the smaller trees below, right? That's what we've always learned. Why would they do that? Think about that. Do we do that? We don't choke out our babies. If that were true, there would never be any new growth. Everything would just die off. The tall trees are connected with the small trees, and they share their resources, much like a mother shares her resources. When the conditions are right, moisture, oxygen, sunlight, and by the way, mushrooms actually breathe oxygen just like we do. Plants and trees actually breathe carbon dioxide. Mushrooms breathe the same type of oxygen that we do, which means they have to worry about the same things that we do, the same viral and bacterial threats that we come across, which means they have to actually develop defenses against these bacteria and viruses, just like we do. And we can actually use them for medicine because of that. So when the conditions are right and you see that fruiting body, that's what we mostly think of mushrooms is just the fruiting body, but there's so much more. This is actually the transient part of the mushroom. It kind of comes and goes, right? And then when the body matures, what's really cool is that it starts to release the spores. Each species of mushrooms has a very unique spore print. And I encourage you to go do a little experiment. You can find a mushroom and take off the little bell part and actually place it on a piece of white paper, and you'll actually see that mushroom's fingerprint. Okay, that's how they have a unique fingerprint. Spores are the reproductive part of the mushroom. And if you're able to eat the spore, it would just go right through you, right? This makes sense because, for one, all of Americans have low stomach acid. We can't really break things down. But in nature, it really wants you to poop it out, and then it can actually grow where that happens, right? And the process continues. The spores can actually be found in the highest parts of the atmosphere. So what that means is that they can actually travel anywhere. Everything that we have tried to do, flying, healing the body, Mushrooms have already figured it out long before us. So we can pretend that we are smarter than them, which we are clearly not, or we can use them for healing purposes. So do you see that kind of the life cycle emulates your own life cycle? All right, let's look at this right here. So let's talk about the patterns. And Albert Einstein is actually one of my heroes. I've always looked up to him. He talked about patterns and said it's more important to recognize patterns than knowing the information. Because when you recognize the patterns, you already know all the information. So here's a great pattern that many of us have recognized in nature. The bottom right here is the most accurate picture of all the dark matter in the universe. And the one on the left right here is the social networks on the planet. And in the second line, you'll see tree roots right here, tree roots. And the one next to that is plant roots. This one right here is mycelial network. And the top left right here is actually the human brain. So do you see a connection all right here? It all looks kind of similar, right? There's a pattern in nature that is seen in every single scale of nature, from the biggest form to the smallest form. It all kind of looks similar. So when you see this pattern, then you start to think, you kind of ask yourself, maybe I need to see how I fit into this pattern. You know, that's what I did. How are the things I'm doing in life influencing this network? Is it making it better? Is it giving life to this network? Is it healing this network? So when you realize the impact that you have, because one person actually makes an impact in so many different ways, in so many different things, you don't live in isolation. You affect everyone around you, okay? So I realized that in my life, I just can't work on one thing. I just can't work in one area of my life and think that, you know, I'm all good, right? In order for that tree to grow, all the roots have to be nourished. I believe that developing all areas of our life, not just one, and we have to develop ourselves physically, emotionally, spiritually. So there's different layers that we have to work on to be fully complete, right? So as an entrepreneur, I'm always looking for trends, right? And this one over here on the side here is from the Farmer's Almanac. And we see that the beverages made with reishi mushroom are trending in 2019. And on the right, there's a study from PubMed that you can actually type in Ganoderma, which is actually the name for reishi. And you can see over time there's a significant increase in scientific literature and research that is going on with this particular mushroom. I mean, look at that. They are accumulating data, and you know nothing about this literature. I find that, you know, it's right there, but nobody's promoting it, right? So let's talk about the 5 legal mushrooms, turkey tail. And it comes in, you know, various different colors. And right here, this is a picture of turkey tail. It's really cute. I mean, you can kind of get lost in that picture. You look at that. It actually looks like a turkey tail, right? Cordyceps, lion's mane, chaga, and reishi. We'll be talking about those. So let's talk about turkey tail. It helps prevent and treat the common cold and flu by supporting your immune system, so it boosts your immune function. It can actually offer support to chemotherapy patients, making it actually work better and protecting all the healthy cells as well. PSK compound has been shown to strengthen the immune system. This compound is found in turkey tail, and it's been shown to strengthen your immune system. It actually creates an environment where the tumor exposes itself to the immune system. So your own immune system can actually go in and find it and attack it, okay? That's very important. It aids in digestion. Just kind of think of a prebiotic. It helps protect against breast cancer. And I promise you, those early screenings that they promote do not prevent cancer. They only detect it. All right, so I just wanted to show you this quick video about Paul Stamets. He is the world's largest mycologist, and let's just take a moment to watch this video.
Other mushroom empowers the immune system, and this is turkey tails. And turkey tail mushrooms have also been used for more than 1,000 years. NIH funded our group with a $2.1 million breast cancer clinical study, which has been recently completed. Now, this breast cancer clinical study was dealing with a non-ER, non-estrogen responsive breast cancer patients, ladies. And the study has come back with some remarkable results. And when the patients have radiation therapy or chemotherapy, their immune system is oftentimes impaired. So natural killer cells are decreased. Taking these mushrooms as an adjunct therapy, not as a substitution, but to support the immune system, the natural killer cells increase on a dose-dependent basis. The red bar is no treatment with 3 grams and 6 grams per day. And then post-radiation, the immune system is depressed, and on a dose-dependent basis, the natural killer cells are enhanced over a period of 4 weeks. So this raises base immunity function, which I think is critically important. Now, this hit home to me very personally in June of 2009, when my 84-year-old mother called me up and said, "Paul, I have something very serious to talk to you about, but you're always so busy." It's a terrible thing to hear from Mom. I said, "Mom, what's wrong?" And she's a very happy, genuine person. She goes, "I'm worried." And my mother's deeply religious, has not seen a doctor since 1968. She said, "My right breast is 5 times the size of my left. I have 6 swollen lymph glands the size of walnuts." And her voice started shaking, and I'm not ashamed to admit that I started crying. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" We spent a large part of June at the Swedish Breast Cancer Clinic in Seattle. The oncologist examined her, and upon the second examination, she had a 5.5 centimeter diameter tumor. It metastasized, it went to her sternum, it went to her liver. She had stage 4 breast cancer. The doctor gave her less than 3 months to live and stated it was the second worst case of breast cancer she has seen as a doctor in 20 years of practice. We had the Circle family meeting. Many of you have gone through this. My mom announced that she bought a pine casket, the cheapest one that she could find, because she was going to heaven. But then the doctor said, "You know, you're too old to have radiation therapy. You can't have your breast removed. But there's an interesting study on turkey tail mushrooms at Bristol Medical School. You might want to try taking those." And that's, my mother goes, "Well, my son's supplying those." So she was put on Taxol and Herceptin, wonderful drugs. And then she started taking 8 turkey tail capsules a day, 4 in the morning and 4 in the evening. And that was in June of 2009. And today, my mother has no detectable tumors. And I'd like to bring my mother home.
Isn't that amazing? That tears me up every time I watch that. So yeah, definitely look into that. All right, let's move on to cordyceps. There are thousands of types of cordyceps, and they actually boost the immune system. They increase your energy levels. They rejuvenate your skin. They help with asthma and bronchitis. They help with arrhythmia and heart disorders. They give you healthy cholesterol levels. They improve your kidney health. So here's the thing: when you update your software on your cell phone, right, or your computer, does it just improve one thing and then destroy everything else? Or does it improve everything? Well, you hope that it actually improves everything because you're investing in this expensive tool, right? The way I look at mushrooms is that I look at them as a software upgrade. There is information that they are providing our body that our body didn't have before. And that's why when we provide that information, we can actually make a lot of different things and a lot of different systems actually work better. So we can make a lot of different functions in our body work better. Let's watch this little video about where cordyceps actually come from, okay?
Incredibly, 80% of all insects live in jungles. Few are more successful than the ants. There can be 8 million individuals in a single hectare. But jungle ants don't have it all their own way. These bullet ants are showing some worrying symptoms. Spores from a parasitic fungus called cordyceps have infiltrated their bodies and their minds. Its infected brain directs this ant upwards. Then, utterly disorientated, it grips a stem with its mandibles. Those afflicted that are discovered by the workers are quickly taken away and dumped far away from the colony. It seems extreme, but this is the reason why. Like something out of science fiction, the fruiting body of the cordyceps erupts from the ant's head. It can take 3 weeks to grow, and when finished, the deadly spores will burst from its tip. Then any ant in the vicinity will be in serious risk of death. The fungus is so virulent, it can wipe out whole colonies of ants. And it's not just ants that fall victim to this killer. There are literally thousands of different types of cordyceps fungi, and remarkably, each specializes on just one species. But these attacks do have a positive effect on the jungle's diversity, since parasites like these stop any one group of animal getting the upper hand. The more numerous a species becomes, the more likely it will be attacked by its nemesis, a cordyceps fungus.
Isn't that amazing? I mean, it might seem a little graphic, but actually nature is trying to keep everything, you know, where everything's equal, and it actually provides medicine for us in that manner as well. So let's look at chaga. This is an actual birch tree, and you can find chaga growing on dying birch trees. The chaga is actually acting as the immune system for that tree. So if you do see this in nature, if you're going out and looking for mushrooms, you want to be very careful when you try to remove this, because you could be actually removing the immune system off that tree, and the tree will die. So ask companies how they harvest their chaga. Is it ethically harvested? Because you don't want to go out and kill a lot of trees, because that mushroom's there actually to help them. So what does chaga do? Well, I said it was the immune system of the tree. So do you think that it would actually help your immune system? It increases the function of T cells, which are killer cells, and helps with interleukin 6. It's actually a very high ORAC rating, which actually means it's a very super potent antioxidant. So this one is very interesting. It's really fascinating. The compounds of the mushroom are the most powerful brain growth factors, okay, that's ever been discovered. And what does it look like right there on the picture? It actually looks like your brain. And have you ever heard that the concept of if something looks like something, then maybe it helps that part of the body? Well, it obviously can help the brain because it looks like the body. It has software. There's certain mathematical code that is coded in this mushroom to actually grow this way. It's not coincidence that it looks almost identical to your brain. It's actually a very potent protector for the brain. Because we live in a crazy world that we live in today, our brains are actually going to start deteriorating. By the age of 24, 100% of us have some form of dementia. So, we can make better life choices to help preserve our brain. Acetylcholine actually helps improve, it actually enhances acetylcholine, which actually helps with memory and helps modulate blood sugar. And if you're going to have a healthy brain, then we need healthy blood sugar function, right? So it helps enhance our mood. There's an actual patent by Paul Stamets, the guy we had just watched, one of the most widely known mycologists around. And he has a patent that if you take niacin, lion's mane, and psilocybin, that it actually reverses Alzheimer's. So there you have that, right? Okay, so this one is my favorite mushroom. This one we've gone really far in the rabbit hole with, and it's actually one that we actually incorporate in a business that my husband and I own, because I believe that is not only spiritual potency, but I believe that it can also do so much good for the world and for the people in the world. So not only physically it can heal you, but it can financially heal you if you let it. So here are some of the benefits. Our great-great-grandchildren are going to look back on us and say, oh my gosh, they were so foolish. They spent all this money on drugs that was poisoning people, and then they had to take it off the market. Then they create more drugs that poison people. Then they take that off the market. And we had the answer all along. And we now have opioid companies that make opioids, and the same company are the ones that sell the cure for the addiction to the opioids. Might think about that. We've run out of things to create in our economy, so we just create artificial problems, and then we create solutions for those problems. This is not sustainable. Nature never does that. It never creates an artificial problem and then creates a solution. We have to start thinking like nature if we're going to start using nature as a tool. This has been used in China for thousands of years. This should tell you something. If it's been around for thousands of years, it probably has a history. It probably has the potency for that as well. It probably helped millions of people to be able to continue to be used for all those years. And it's known as the mushroom of spiritual potency. One of the things that we've noticed with a lot of people when they start drinking this coffee or tea or even taking the capsules is that their spiritual potency changes. Their level of empathy increases for others. Their decision-making capacities change. They start thinking more clearly. There's a shift that actually takes place in people, and every person that I've introduced this drink to, it's become, they feel more and more, better. They feel the shift taking place, and we see it over time, without even nudging or suggesting that these people start making better decisions. They actually do it themselves because they actually feel better when they take this. So it increases microcirculation. Reishi actually increases something called nitric oxide in the body, and this is part of your body. What actually requires microcirculation? Well, a lot of things, but including your brain, okay? If we want to increase cognitive function and we want to be smarter, how do we deliver that better nutrition? We have to deliver a better nutrition to the brain, right? So we have to increase microcirculation, which is the hardest place to get blood, is at the top of the brain because it's actually working against gravity, right? So microcirculation is huge. Surrounding every single cell in your body, there's 3 things. So write this down. Lymphatic vessel that remove waste, blood vessels that bring nutrients, and the nerve that kind of, is the maestro to orchestrate what the cell is actually going to do. And if we increase that circulation, we increase the healing. And this is why people feel better in every organ. It helps modulate blood sugars. There are case study after case study, and even those in our clinic that are coming off of their diabetes medication, not by us, by their own doctor, that, they're taking less and less of their insulin. This mushroom is proof to us that our bodies can heal. And when we give our body the right information, we give it that right software upgrade, it can do amazing things, just like our computer or our phone that you have. If you upgrade the software, or if the software is outdated or there's tons of viruses, it's not going to have the functionality that it once did, right? So it doesn't mean that you have to throw away that computer or that phone. You just have to update that software. And our entire medical system is based on throwing out the computer or buying a new one. No updating the software. And that's why we have people, when we give people vitamins and minerals, yeah, that's great. But if the software is broken, by giving you a new keyboard, that's not going to solve the problem. Replacing the screen is not going to solve the problem. If the software isn't working, it's going to do nothing for you. So right now, no one is approaching health with a software perspective. Everyone is approaching it from a hardware perspective. Take this pill, let's remove this body part. Those are hardware solutions, okay? When we're supporting software solutions, upgrading the software can actually help the hardware, and improve that better. I can take that same phone and update the software and make everything better, right? So it's also been shown to deplaque Alzheimer's brain. The amyloid plaque that forms on a person's brain, that is where it's actually stripping all those plaques off of the Alzheimer brain. It can actually cross the blood-brain barrier. It reduces inflammation in 11 different ways. People that start drinking this tea or coffee, you almost feel it instantly. It actually also increases NRF2 function. And NRF2 function is the pathway that our body makes antioxidants, so it can actually protect our cells from damage. So that's quite a bit of things that I can do, and that's just all that we have time for. So look at this picture. Now remember when I said that if something looks like something, it might actually have carry out a similar function. So the one here on the left, excuse me, you have a picture of the liver and Ganoderma. So what does the Ganoderma do? It actually takes that rotting tree and turn it into a less harmful compound. And in this case, in a medicine. Our liver actually does the same thing. The liver takes harmful compounds and turns it into less harmful compounds. And that's what the detoxification process is. So doesn't it look like your liver? Guess what? It can actually help detox pathways. So when I turn it on its side here, now what does it look like? It looks like a kidney. This is why it helps with detoxification. At rest, the majority of our blood is going through our kidneys and our liver. And if the body prioritizes blood flow to these organs, Don't you think that, you know, these organs are important to support? So here's the thing. I said at rest. Most people are not at rest. They're running around all day long. They're stressed out. They might be sitting, but they're not resting. And if you turn it this way, it looks like, what does it look like now? Looks like your brain. So it's not a coincidence that pretty much all the major organs in our body look like mushrooms. We actually share 50% of the DNA with them, and these genes are called HOX genes, H-O-X. If you study them, you'll see the pictures in our body come from these genes. And we share these genes with the fungal kingdom and also the plant kingdom, okay? That's why our lungs look like the branching trees. There's a genetic architecture there. All right, isn't that beautiful? Look how massive that reishi is. You know, unfortunately, all of us live in a toxic time. Some toxins you can actually smell, some you can't, some you can see, some you can't. But be mindful that you cannot always smell or see a toxin in your environment. So reishi actually helps improve healthy detoxification. We just talked about that. It improves exercise performance. Many athletes are actually switching out their pre-workout drinks for the King coffee, and they notice improved workouts and they become stronger. It actually helps with weight management as well. Many of our patients have lost weight simply switching to the coffee. And, you know, part of the reason is that it's because of their software upgrade. One of the things that happens with reishi is that it helps suppress your appetite in a healthy way. And many people have heard of intermittent fasting. My husband and I do that every single day. And when you drink a reishi coffee or the tea in the morning, it kind of helps, you know, with that fast easier without breaking the fast. It gives your brain a quick boost. It modulates your immune system. So it does some really great things. It's also a great way to start the day. So you will even find that you're snacking less or craving different foods less. Research has shown that people that eat less calories actually live longer. So if you know you are consistently sending blood to your digestive system, then where are you not sending it to, right? Your brain. So you want to become smarter, eat less. It's not normal to feel hungry all the time. This actually improves sleep, and it normalizes the autonomic tone in your nervous system. So I want to talk about this for a little bit, so hang with me. This might get a little confusing, but I'm going to try to break it down. So have any of you heard of the autonomic system? I kind of want to show you this information because I think that it's very relevant because you're gonna tie it all in here, okay? On the left side, you'll see the sympathetic nervous system, and the autonomic nervous system is like a transmission in your car. So what happens is that all the information that your brain gathers, it comes in, whatever you touch, your visual, auditory, everything that you gather is processed through the amygdala. And then the amygdala actually makes a decision on whether or not our past experience, whether we believe the situation to be true, right? So imagine with me, if you will, there's a lion coming in the room, okay? So with all the information that is processed and the information that we know, we would probably freak out knowing the information that we know, right? However, my daughter might not. She might go up to the lion. Same information, just processed differently, right? An adult, we don't want to take time to think about whether that lion has been fed, if he's angry, if he's nice. I don't want to take time to think about that. We need an instant decision, right? Before our conscious brain even knows what's happening, the amygdala, which is the decision part of our brain, tells you what's going on. It's decided that the situation is a bad situation. And it's already sent a signal down our entire spinal cord to all of our organs, and all these organs shut down, right? So they're going to save you from this lion. I don't need to digest my food right now. I need to run, right? So where are we sending that blood in order to survive? We're sending it to our limbs. We need to run out of there quickly. So we have to take that blood from somewhere, right? So we take it from the trunk of our body so that we can send it to our feet and our hands so that we can get out of there quickly. So during a situation, during this type of situation, what do our eyes do? Do they constrict or do they dilate? Do we want more information or less information? Do we want to know what's going on around us, or do we only want to know what's in front of us? Well, they actually dilate. We want to know all the information around us so we can make a quick decision, okay? So keep that in mind. What does saliva do? Does it increase or decrease? Well, saliva actually decreases. People that are in chronic stress have less saliva, so they experience dry mouth. What happens to your breathing capacity? Does it decrease or increase? Probably, during a stressful state, we're probably breathing rapid, short breaths, right? We're not taking slow, deep breaths. We're getting in as much oxygen as possible. Your heart rate increases. Your stomach acid production decreases. We don't need to digest that food right now. It's shut down. Our kidney function slows down. Our blood pressure increases. Our detoxification function shuts down. We don't need to detox right now. Our reproductive organs shut down. Our blood sugar increases more to our limbs so we can move out of there quickly. Your immune system shuts down. I don't need to worry about healing anything. I need to save your life, right? Your body is smart. It does what it needs to do to increase the survival. Sometimes we might not make sense, but for survival's perspective, it does make sense. So if people come to our office and they've had this lion consistently, chasing them in life, which some of us do, our job, our jobs, our spouse, our money, the IRS is coming after us. All these lions are attacking us day to day. So some of us have these lions consistently attacking us. So what does that do to our nervous system? It puts us in a state of fight or flight. And if we are in fight or flight, we have no choice. You can't say, I have, this lion chasing me, but I really want my liver to start detoxing right now. You don't have that choice. It's commanded by the nervous system, and the nervous system is under command of our belief system. It's our belief system that made the decision to be stressed out or not. And when we help patients in our office, we don't work on the physical part. It's that's the hardware solution. To work on that, I have to send them to all kinds of specialists, dentists, endocrinologists, cardiologists, so forth. So, this is why our system is broken. You have a super stressed out person whose nervous system is doing what it exactly made to do, but their mind is weaponized against them. Building more hospitals is not going to fix anything and hasn't fixed anything. You have hospitals and urgent cares on every corner, and we're sicker than ever. Wouldn't it be nice to actually turn on all of these organs that have been shut off for so long? The body already has the tool to do it. We just have to provide it to it. We have to upgrade that software. This is known as the parasympathetic. We actually have to turn on that parasympathetic nervous system. This is your rest and digest. This is where we reproduce, regenerate, restore all of our nervous system. Our bodies are so amazing. And in order to undo stress, we have to, activate the system, and it's only by one nerve. All that stuff on the other side there's all those nerves going into all of that. One nerve turns on our rest and digest. It's the cranial nerve number 10, the vagus nerve. So what happens when you stimulate the vagus nerve is that these organs actually turn back on. Now you're sending blood to your digestive system. You're sending information to it. Your reproductive system improves. You're spending all this money on infertility drugs, and insurance pays for IVF therapy when they could actually just send you on a vacation at the right time and allow you to get out of this crazy stressed life that you're probably living. And that's what happens. Most times when you stop trying, you get pregnant. If you want to heal somebody, you can't ever heal them if they're in a sympathetic phase. You can't do it. They will keep going to other doctors. They'll keep popping the pills. They'll keep, getting test after test. But that's what's wrong with it. They have, a fragmented brain that is programmed by the people that want to keep them sick. They make money off of the illness. So have you ever learned anything meaningful about food or healing in school? Well, there's a reason. You think that's by accident? And then those companies actually are the most profitable industries in the country. So if people actually knew how to take care of themselves, the economy would not exist, and actually a new economy would actually emerge. Imagine, what would happen if all of us were healthy. Imagine that. That'd be a beautiful world, wouldn't it? They worked on in which we created a world that we're actually sick. But that's not the world I want to create for my daughter. If she, had this obscure disease and they had a cure for it, well, in order to develop that disease, then she's not living her best life. She didn't create, she created that disease by not living. Maybe she's eating processed food. Maybe she doesn't, but maybe she starts doing that and she has an increased stress in her life. This means, she's not living her best life and what she's meant to do. So, they really are trying to create, I'm trying to create one where she actually experienced this human experience. And most people won't ever experience that. And it's really sad. So we want to get you in the rest and digest, reducing, replicating, regenerating. And one of the things that reishi actually does is so beautiful that it actually helps the nervous system. It gets your nervous system out of that fight or flight and into the rest and digest. This is why when people actually take reishi, they actually feel and improve all of their systems. Their digestion gets better, their sleep improves, their allergies get better, and that's why it's such a potent tool. Let me give you a few testimonies here. This wonderful guy, my husband reached out to. He's a complete stranger, but he was just, calling out for pain or calling out for help. And we sent him some samples, and this guy had, systemic pain. He couldn't even get out of bed in the morning without pain. He couldn't sit still without having pain. He would always fall asleep at night when he came home from work. So he wasn't really able to experience life with his family. And he started drinking the black coffee, and he noticed that he could get out of bed in the morning without pain. He was actually moving around without pain. He was actually coming home from work and not falling asleep. His wife actually pointed it out to him, and that's a beautiful thing. That right there, that gives us chills, This one right here is my stepdaughter. She has really bad allergies. As you can see right here, her eyes are very, very puffy. We put her in a Epsom salt bath. We gave her a hot cocoa with one of the spore capsules after the bath. Eyes are beautiful, and she's outside playing again. This is how quickly that stuff can work. Here's another one. Her digestion improved. She's can't wait to put her kids on the spores because they have terrible allergies. Here's another one. This is a great registered nurse. She was in systemic pain. She was just taking 5 spores a day. She worked her way up to 8 a day, but just with 5 a day for 5 days and actually drinking 2 King coffee, her chronic pain improved dramatically. That's amazing. You know, she couldn't believe that life was going to be without pain, and with those 2 products, it amazingly changed her pain level. Here's one where he's a police officer and she's a nurse, and they started drinking the coffee and his stomach felt better. Her neck pain and shoulder pain went away without even doing anything, without coming to see us. Isn't that amazing? So how can you consume more? Well, you want to know your source, okay? You want to know. Let me show you a little recipe that is amazing to get into yourself. This is by Deepa Patel, and she's amazing at creating recipes that are super, super yummy. And you guys can watch the replay to get that recipe there. But it's, you know, you could actually put in a spore capsule into this to enhance it as well. So here's how I and my family actually take the mushrooms daily. We drink the King every morning for breakfast, and we start our day out right. I drink the latte in the afternoon for a little treat, and I consume the capsules. My daughter actually loves the green tea daily, and she also consumes the capsules every day. Our pets actually consume the spore capsules every day. So here's the cool thing about these products. A year ago, I would never have recommended to drink a latte, right? It has high sugar. And but now, all the research and testimonies that we have experienced in our clinic and outside of our clinic, I realized that if I remained a purist, we would reach fewer people. And in fact, many people that we know would still be suffering from whatever ailment they had if we had not, you know, come up with this. I realized that I needed to be a realist, okay? I wanted to help 99% of the population, not 1% of the population. I want to help as many people with this beautiful magic. Then I was going to have to find a delivery system that was actually something that they would actually consume. So there's 3 parts of the mushroom that I mentioned before. So let's recap a little bit. The spores are good for everything, okay? They're the most potent part of the mushroom, and it's about 70 times the concentration of nutrients and antioxidants than any other part of the mushroom. The spores have like 2 thick coconut shells around it, and what organo has actually done, remember when I said, actually it's just gonna go past right through you? Well, what organo has actually done is I have opened up that shell, because normally it would just go right through you, right? They have cracked them open and preserved the concentration of nutrients inside to allow your body to actually access this information in a good way. Isn't that amazing? The mycelium is the underground root network in the forest. It's the nervous system, the immune system, digestive system, respiratory system. So guess what? It's going to heal. It's going to heal all those things. The Ganoderma lucidium is actually the fruiting body. So the beautiful red reishi that we see, that's the body of it. So the forest, it helps detoxify. It actually helps your liver, your kidneys. Guess what? It's going to help the entire body, all the organs, right? So we also add other mushrooms that we actually carry in our office by Harmonic Arts. They're all organic and they're beautiful. I actually add some of those to my coffee just for added benefits, because, you know, I want to live a healthy life. So knowing your sources is very important, okay? I want to bring up one thing. Here's an interesting fact. The one on the left here can actually be called organic reishi, right? When it's in the ground, when it's in ground up powder or a capsule, you don't know what it looked like when it first started. And this can be called organic reishi, but it's actually grown in a lab in a plastic bag. This is not the same as growing it on logs in nature. So the source matters. You can look at the color, and that color can tell you the difference. Organo grows all of their reishi on lands where it's actually preserved and exclusive agreements with the government to be able to grow this reishi. It's up at 185 miles away from civilization. There's no cars. You can't drive up to it. It's a natural treasure, actually, in China, and it's revered for thousands of years. And we have special permission to grow it. So, looking at that red color in nature, do you think that red color, that mushroom had to defend itself against the elements? Do you think the one on the left had to do anything? It's not stressed out at all. So it's not going to have the same medicinal purposes as the one grown in nature. So as I mentioned before, there's amazing trend going on right now. They can actually teach us. They show us patterns and show us things that we didn't know were there before. It's highly sustainable. It's eco-friendly. There's multitude of benefits. I could go on and on and on, but we don't have time. You can use this for food, medicine, teachers, Look at this. This is a list of different mushrooms and what the mushrooms can actually do. So let's see if I can find kind of fuzzy on here. I don't think I can read it very well. But lion's mane is a pretty good mushroom. It's definitely great for the brain. We all know that. But this right here, this Ganoderma lucidium, look at everything it does. Everything except for sexual enhancer, right? So it does everything. So since we have this one right here, the sexual enhancer, it doesn't work for the reishi, but the cordyceps sure do. So these two products right here, the cordyceps and the Ganoderma, that is completely doing everything. These are studies. These right here are studies on PubMed on what these mushrooms can actually help and treat and increase. So I think that's pretty powerful. Okay, guys, thanks so much for hanging in there. And I know this was a long presentation, but we absolutely are, we love mushrooms, and I think it's going to heal the world. And if you want a source for mushrooms, please reach out to me. I would love to introduce you to the medicinal mushrooms that we are actually using. And if we have any questions, let me know. I want to make sure I answer all. Oops, my video just went off. Sorry, guys. I just want to make sure that I answer any questions that we have.